My wife said I want to live for myself without you, so I gave her exactly what she asked for, and she wasn't ready for a single second of it. The moment my marriage ended, there wasn't shouting, no broken plates, no slammed doors, just a sentence, quiet, careful, almost polite. I want to live for myself, without you. She said it while standing in the kitchen, her back to me, slowly stirring sugar into her coffee, like she had rehearsed the movement. Clink, clink, clink. The spoon tapped the porcelain cup 3 times before she turned around. Her face looked calm, too calm, like someone who had already left the room hours ago. I watched her, really watched her, the small distance she kept between us, the way she held the cup with both hands, like she needed something warm to steady herself, or maybe to steady the lie. Without me? I asked. My voice sounded normal. That surprised me. Inside, something had cracked open, a thin fracture spreading quietly through bone. Yes. She nodded once. Slow, careful. I feel like I lost myself in this marriage. Lost herself. Interesting phrase. People say things like that when they're trying to soften something ugly. I leaned against the counter and studied her like a stranger. 10 years of marriage, 10 years of memories, and suddenly she looked like someone I had never met. I think we should separate, she said. There it was. Clean, precise, prepared. My heart didn't break, not yet. Instead, something colder replaced it. Something sharp. Something patient. Because when someone decides to walk away so calmly, it usually means they already have somewhere else to go. And that was the moment I started paying attention. People think betrayal announces itself loudly. It doesn't. It whispers. At first, I told myself I was imagining things. That maybe she really was just tired. That maybe 10 years had worn us down. But the mind notices patterns long before the heart accepts them. She had started sleeping with her phone facing down. Always a small detail, but deliberate. Then there were the late-night work messages. The sudden gym membership. The perfume she only wore on Thursdays. I remember sitting at the dining table one evening while she typed rapidly on her phone. Her lips curved slightly. A smile she didn't know she was showing. Not for me, I asked casually. Something funny? She locked the screen immediately. Just like that. Oh, just Emily from work. Emily. Of course. Everyone has an Emily. I nodded, smiled, went back to eating. But inside, something had shifted. Not jealousy, not anger. Awareness. The mind becomes very clear when trust begins to rot. I started remembering things. Little fragments. The sudden business trips. The way she began dressing differently. The way she avoided eye contact when certain questions came up. And the biggest one of all, the distance. Not physical. Emotional. The kind that feels like someone slowly packing their bags inside their own head. One night I woke up at 3:12 a.m. She was gone from the bed. I walked into the hallway. The living room light was on. She sat on the couch, phone pressed to her ear, whispering. I know. Pause. Soft laugh. I miss you too. The words froze the air in my lungs. I stood in the darkness, silent, invisible, and I understood something in that moment. My wife hadn't suddenly decided to live for herself. She had already started a new life. I just hadn't been informed yet. So I returned to bed, closed my eyes, and began planning. Revenge is loud when it's emotional, but when it's calculated, it becomes quiet, precise, almost surgical. I didn't confront her. That would have been sloppy. Instead, I became observant. Very observant. People underestimate how predictable they become when they think they're getting away with something. Her phone was always locked. But technology leaves trails. I checked our phone bill. Hundreds of calls to the same number. Late at night. Early morning. Every Thursday. The gym days. Interesting. I copied the number into my contacts. Didn't call it, just saved it. Later, I searched it online. The name appeared immediately. Daniel Mercer. 42. Real estate consultant. Divorced. Living 15 minutes from our house. I stared at the screen for a long time. Not angry, just absorbing. So this was the man who had replaced 10 years of marriage. A stranger with a LinkedIn profile and a confident smile. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I watched patterns. Thursday evening arrived. She left for the gym at 6:30 p.m. I waited 10 minutes. Then I followed. Not to the gym, to Daniel's apartment building. Because patterns are easy to confirm once you see them. Her car arrived at 6:52. She stepped out, checked her phone, smiled, then walked inside. No hesitation. No guilt, like she belonged there. I sat in my car across the street, watching, counting minutes. 30, 60, 90. 2 hours later, she came out. Hair slightly messy, face glowing, relaxed, alive, the kind of expression she hadn't worn around me in years. That was the moment the last illusion died. Not loudly, quietly, like a candle running out of oxygen. But the strange thing, I still didn't feel rage, just clarity. And clarity is dangerous, because once the truth becomes obvious, you stop asking emotional questions and start asking strategic ones. The evidence arrived 3 weeks later. But by then, I already knew everything. I had hired a private investigator, not because I doubted my instincts, but because truth becomes powerful when it's documented. Photographs, hotel receipts, text message screenshots, dates, times, proof. I sat at my office desk when the investigator handed me the folder. Thick, heavy, a life condensed into paper. I opened it slowly. Page after page, there she was. My wife, laughing with him, kissing him, holding his hand in public like they had nothing to hide. The investigator cleared his throat. You want my opinion? I looked up. Not really. He nodded. Smart man. When he left, the office became silent again. I closed the folder. And something strange happened. Instead of anger, I felt relief. Because uncertainty is torture. But certainty is power. That night she came home around 9 p.m. Tired, pretending. I sat at the dining table. The folder rested in front of me. She noticed it immediately. What's that? I slid it across the table. Your freedom. Her eyebrows tightened. She opened the folder. The first photograph stared back at her. Her face drained instantly. Color vanished. Her hands began shaking. She looked up at me, panic blooming in her eyes. This isn't what you think. I almost smiled. That sentence, the oldest lie in the world. I know exactly what it is, I said calmly. No shouting. No accusations. Just truth. And silence. She began crying. Of course, people cry when their secrets lose oxygen. I didn't mean for this to happen. I still love you. The words spilled out desperately. But I was already somewhere else. Emotionally detached, watching her like a scientist observes a failed experiment. Because the moment she said she wanted to live without me, she had already made her choice. I was simply finishing the paperwork. Congratulations, I said quietly. She blinked. Confused. What? You wanted a life without me. I folded my hands calmly. So I gave it to you. Her breathing became uneven. What does that mean? I slid another document across the table. Divorce papers. Already prepared. Already signed. Her eyes widened. You planned this? Yes, weeks ago, but I didn't say that. Instead, I leaned back in the chair. You said you wanted to live for yourself. She stared at the papers like they were radioactive. I didn't mean... You meant exactly that. My voice remained steady, controlled, and I respect your decision. The room felt colder, smaller, trapped. She wiped tears from her face. But where will I go? That question was fascinating, because it revealed the truth she hadn't prepared for. Daniel wasn't her new life. He was her escape fantasy. Reality hadn't been discussed yet. You can stay with him, I said simply. Her silence answered everything. Daniel hadn't offered that. Of course he hadn't. Affairs thrive in shadows, not daylight. I think I made a mistake, she whispered. The words hung in the air, heavy, pathetic. But mistakes are accidents. This wasn't an accident. This was a series of deliberate choices. Hundreds of them. I agree, I said calmly, and signed the final page. 3 months later, the house was empty. Not abandoned, just quiet. Peaceful in a way it hadn't been for years. Her side of the closet was gone. Her perfume no longer lingered in the hallway. Her coffee mug had disappeared from the kitchen shelf. I sat by the window one evening, watching rain slide slowly down the glass. Strange thing about betrayal. It doesn't destroy you. It reveals people. It strips away illusions. She wanted to find herself. Maybe she will. Maybe she won't. That's no longer my concern. Because the truth is simple. The moment someone decides your presence is optional, your absence becomes a gift. Not for them. For you. I finished my drink and turned off the lights. And for the first time in 10 years, I slept without wondering who my wife was texting. Because she wasn't my wife anymore. And the silence she left behind, it wasn't loneliness. It was freedom.